Okay, welcome and thank you for joining us this evening. We have a very special virtual seminar from our host and speaker for the evening, Brian Javelin. He is going to talk to you all about surviving and thriving as an entrepreneur in a tsunami. What I'd ask of you is if you have any questions, just go ahead and drop them right into the chat function. I've just added a little comment to the chat. You should see that pop up, or click the little icon that looks like a chat. Drop any questions in there and we'll be sure to get to them when the time comes. And other than that, I will let you take it away, Brian. Thanks for doing this for us.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Just to make sure, can you hear me fine? You hear me fine?
Yep.
Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to joining us today for this quick, fast-paced entrepreneur boot camp. And in order for us to get started, I'm going to be bringing you through a fast story, and I would like you to actually really consider where would you be? And we're going to start right now with this particular image because it's going to represent the current economic situation that we're in, and it's going to make a point as I go fast, so forgive me. But I would like you to see this picture and realize that it was from the 2004 tsunami. And what happened is that before we get detailed, everything else around entrepreneurship is for your preparation, to be prepared to the best of your ability to the next step of whatever it is you're going to be doing in your business development planning. And what I'd like to do is now take a step back. And originally, we showed you this picture just to make a point, but I want to start with the originating picture taken by a gentleman on the beach. And I want you to look at everything here, and we're going to amplify a lot of topics. First is pay attention to the woman on the right who's slowly walking into the beach or further into the beach. Also, look at the two women on the left who are looking and pointing out at the distance, and then look at the people that are running.
Brian, for some reason we lost your screen share, so we just see you.
You don't see my screen share?
No, just you at the moment.
Okay, let's bring it. We're going to have to now say we're running into a technical difficulty with WebEx. Okay, I'm going to go back. I am going to try the screen share. Tell me when you see. Hello?
I see the WebEx screen again. Oh, there it is. I got it.
Are we back?
Yep, perfect.
Okay.
Picture up. Good to go.
Okay. Technical difficulty. So going right back to where we were, forgive me, everybody. If you look, you'll see this woman walking, and you'll see the other two women staring, and of course you see people running. The gentleman who was taking this picture was walking from right to left. Now what I'm going to do is go to the next picture to make a point. If you look at that woman right there who is on the far right-hand side, she's now many more feet deeper into the beach as she's passing the other two women. And now as we go further, I'd like you to look at those boats that were in the distance. The point is this gentleman was still walking, and it's very difficult to estimate what the time is, but the next picture is going to attempt to have you see the value of time and how much things can change with time. Here are two boats at a pretty decent distance apart, but now I want you to also notice another boat. You see that boat turned upside down? That happened to be a small boat that turned upside down due to the sheer magnitude of the waves moving. And here we are with many people standing on the beach and walking towards that boat, okay? I want to make you think of those boats as all of the different people who are going to give you advice as an entrepreneur. Some people just give advice and they don't realize that it's worthless advice. And then there's other people who actually do have a piece of advice that is relevant. Now, let's go to the next picture. Look at the distance of the two boats and see how close they are. They saw what was coming. They now were turned around and they were heading directly towards the waves. That was their only way to survive, but they knew what to do. Those were smart consultants. That other boat upside down was obviously somebody who wasn't thinking smart enough of what to do to handle a major circumstance. Look at the first wave that was coming in. Look at the second wave that was coming in. Now, look at the people on the left and look at the size of that first and second wave. And we have a woman still running forward. We even have a man on the right-hand side standing there, just staring ahead. But if you think about it, wasn't this set of people a little bit smarter? And we're talking just a little bit a while ago in time. I don't know whether it was 3 to 5 minutes. I don't know if it was 15 minutes. But a lot went on, and I don't want to amplify what occurred to those people because 250,000 people died when those waves hit ashore. But this was the wrong decisions to be making at the wrong time. And so what I want to ask you is, right now, where do you think you're going to be? We are in the most challenging time in most of our working histories. I've been around the block, so I've gone through this before. I don't want to amplify those topics, but many of you are now facing this circumstance. And I'd like to ask you, where do you think you are as far as looking at your business? So let's start with the definition of what is an entrepreneur and start getting into the details of how to either build a brand new business or continue with an existing business when facing economic uncertainty. The definition of an entrepreneur is rather simple. It's a person who creates and operates a business taking on greater than normal financial risk in order to do so. But the reality is every single person who's doing anything in their business life today is already taking a normal financial risk because there's simply so much uncertainty in front of us. But that doesn't mean there's not going to be a tremendous amount of opportunity in the near future. So let's take a step back and realize there's a rather diverse crowd joining us here today. Thank you, Kevin and FAU. But there's a lot of different people that are joining us. First of all, we got the business bootcamp students who are looking to graduate soon and hopefully start a business on their own. Pretty much one of the most opportunistic situations that could be in your hands. We have business plan competition participants who are going to be trying to get some money to, next Friday, I believe it is, and I'm actually one of the finalist judges there. So you being here today might help you for a week and a half later if you adjust. We have some existing business owners that are joining us to adapt to the circumstances, but we also have a new crowd of people that are going to be coming in mass really, really soon, and that's new out-of-work people that are looking to start fresh. Many of these people will not have a choice because they just lost their job. They're going to be hungry, and they're going to be willing to work for nothing, and many times even make just enough money to put food on their table, but they're not going to be true entrepreneurs, but now they're going to be out there pounding away for the same opportunities that you're looking to do to attempt to build a profitable business when they're looking to simply get by for the day. So what you want to do is position for the different type of opportunities and always be keenly aware that the market conditions are changing so fast that you have to be receptive to changing as fast as the new knowledge and new opportunities appear. This tsunami, this confusion will create fantastic opportunities for many people. But a lot of you entrepreneurs, especially the new entrepreneurs, I want to warn you. That warning is there's going to be a tremendous number of Monday morning quarterbacks, almost like the news today. Unfortunately, there's a lot of decisions taking place on an hourly and daily and weekly basis. And it's serious that's going on out there because there's a lot of sickness and a lot of death. And it's very easy for anybody to wait one full day and then beat up the people who make those decisions. And I'm not getting political, but it's a fact that the people that are making decisions are always going to be judged after the fact when people are sitting behind their desk, and it's easy to literally pick on the people that made decisions that were critically wrong the day before. These Monday morning quarterbacks are going to be disappearing too. They're going to not support you as an entrepreneur. You will hear over and over again, I wouldn't do it for this reason, or here's a suggestion. But keep in mind that as soon as that tsunami arrives and the water hits and we get past this cycle, then you're going to get a tremendous number of people of the level, I like to call it the level of I told you so. As an entrepreneur, most people will not support you because they're not entrepreneurs themselves. They only see things from the aspect of how hard something is or what are the obstacles in front of you. And the reality is those obstacles are in front of any entrepreneur. It's you waking up and realizing that your attitude needs to shift and not necessarily be taken aback when people tell you, oh, I wouldn't have done that. Remember, I told you so. So let's assume that that level of told you so is going to be super hot because most people are not risk takers in good times, let alone in bad. So I'm going to tell you to all buy the cup of suck it up. Do not let the people bring you down, especially when you're trying things and it doesn't work out. Because as an entrepreneur, that's called education 101 in business. You are going to try things. Many times it's a gut instinct and you will be wrong. You need mental support by yourself to suck it up and realize it's another day. Keep grinding it out and don't let any steps back stop you from going forward on the next day. There's a lot of things to keep in mind that's an intangible aspect of being an entrepreneur that you can't necessarily find in any book or a specific chapter on how to master. One is keeping your attitude in check. When things go wrong, that's okay. Why? You just learned, hopefully, quickly and inexpensively, what not to do. So be positive when things go wrong. And when things go right, be super excited, but try to keep your attitude in check and not let the people around you bring you down. Wake up early. And I don't know how many people are laughing there that may be students, especially because you're now allowed to wake up a little bit later. But as an entrepreneur, when the sun is rising is when the entrepreneurs attack. So whoever's not getting up at 6, 6:30, 7, 7:30, or 8, don't call yourself an entrepreneur. You're just going to play a lottery with a business, and maybe you'll hit it, maybe you won't, but most likely you won't. Learn to wake up early and start fresh. Most of your great contacts are available. Most of the successful entrepreneurs and existing successful business people are already awake. So maybe Kevin's smiling. I can't see him right now, but wake up early. And that's going to be part of your journey to get your act together when the sun is rising, at least if you want to be a successful entrepreneur. Make yourself a plan, whether it's a hard calendar, whether it's Microsoft Outlook. You have to, before you start doing anything, have a general plan of what you would like to say was an accomplishment of the day. As I've grown businesses, I would have many people tell me at the end of the day, oh, hey, boss, hey, Brian, whatever, today was a great day. My first response was, what did you accomplish? You wouldn't believe how many times, especially in the technical arena, a programmer would say, well, I'm just programming, and it was a great day. Well, yes, but what did you accomplish? If you don't have 1, 2, 5, 10 things written down, and you can't clearly cross them off, you didn't have a day where you were implementing a topic. You were just having a nice day breathing and getting things done, but you weren't accomplishing things. So make sure you have a plan, period. And then also remember, as you're going about your day, allow downtime. Allow taking breaks where you walk away from the computer, you walk away from whatever it is you're doing, and just get away from the business for a moment just so you could decompress, refresh yourself, and then come back. And when you do come back, stick to the plan. Attempt your best as the next one to control your interruptions. I'm sitting here now. My phone is upside down and off. I really wonder how many of you, even when I'm speaking, are actually paying attention to me and maybe staring at an email, staring at some Instagram update or a Facebook update or whatever it is that everybody pays attention to. You have to learn how to master controlling your interruptions. All of those texts will still be there later in the day. The email updates will be there later in the day. And when you've made a plan, you must take a moment to isolate yourself, because here's the best thing about an entrepreneur. You could do whatever you want, whenever you want, and nobody's going to care. So if you can't control yourself, you could pretty much bet you're going to be missing a lot of opportunities when it comes to building your business. Don't forget your loved ones. And in this particular case, it's unique because the vast majority of you are working home. So you have to ensure that while you're busy staring at your computer and doing whatever you're doing, reading a book or listening to a podcast and whatever it is you're learning, make sure your family is aware of what you're doing so they don't inadvertently come in to share something with you and distract you from implementing the plan. Even me today, I have family members that are aware that I'm doing this presentation, so they know not to come into this room for the hour, and then as soon as the hour's up, I run out and go right back to my family. Don't forget that. And in normal times, you might be in another office, you might be somewhere else. Include your family with what you're trying to do, not every detail, but just enough. So when you sometimes come across as agitated, upset, sad, whatever it may be, they have a general idea what you're doing so they could support you, because your family's strength in their care for you will allow you to go for it to the best of your ability, knowing that there's a good chance you're going to fail. Entrepreneurship isn't a guarantee, but when you do it well, you can really hit it out of the park. So have your family members supporting you through the good times and the bad. After it's all said and done, remember to recharge yourself. It doesn't mean sleep. It means find something else that you like to do, that your business doesn't get interrupted for. Go to sleep and repeat this yet again every day through Saturday and Sunday. Let's make sure you have a strategy. Let's have a plan in place for you to take your entrepreneurial ideas and attempt to now implement them, starting with learning. In this environment, you have to remember that fast is better than perfection. It doesn't mean do crappy work. It just means that if you had to make a choice and get something out there, it's better to do something fast than just simply analyze it and keep fixing it. And before you know it, time went by and you didn't get your thoughts out to market on whatever that may be. And I want to give a shout out to people who will eventually be seeing this video to make a point. I've been volunteering at the high school in Coral Springs. The high school name is Tarabella, for those of you who might be further away. They do an annual business plan competition, and actually many of these kids will be attending FAU next year, which I'm sure Kevin will be happy to know. Well, these kids, when I joined them, they had a great idea, and it was packaged absolutely terrible. It didn't deserve to be in a competition, and it definitely wasn't going to come close to being in any type of position to win or be a finalist and so forth. When I came to guide them, you got to realize there's a dozen students here that were sitting in a room. They did their presentation as entrepreneurs. They were all excited because they worked really, really hard for 4 months. And then here I am saying, this sucks. It's never going to work. I don't want to ruin your egos. I don't want to hear about how hard you worked, but the idea is really good. If person number 1 does this different, person 3 does this different, person number 4 does this different, you really have a great idea. You just have to take a step back and realize how you packaged yourself is absolutely terrible. And the cool thing is, including their teacher, who was fabulous too, still is fabulous, they were so receptive to change. And the first thing they said is, oh my God, you're asking us to change everything that we've done for 4 months or whatever the exact time frame was in less than 2 weeks. The competition's here. Well, here we are. And I'm proud to tell you that they adapted so fast. They sucked it up. They knew I didn't care how hard they worked, honestly. But here they are, and they won the state championship for business planning. And now, the only unfortunate thing was I was looking forward to hearing these kids go up in New York and present at the national level and represent the state of Florida. And unfortunately, due to the circumstance, that was canceled. But these kids get to graduate knowing that in a business plan competition, they won for the state. So obviously, if Kevin's the one reading their resumes and letting them into the business school, it's going to be impressive knowing someone right down the block was able to make it that far as a high school student. But what they learned was learn from your mistakes and adapt, and don't complain about the hard work that was wasted, because that hard work was nothing other than a step in the right direction, and they knew it. I explained it to them, and they embraced it, and here they are with their award. So after you're willing to accept, and congratulations again to you kids when you see this video at a later time, going forward, after you learn to change and be fast over perfection, right now, more than ever, whatever it is you think you're going to sell or provide as a service, you better have a clear value proposition. And I'm going to do a couple little movie scenes, forgive me, but this is also me changing my original presentation to adapt to the times. But if anyone remembers this guy, Jack Nicholson, there was a famous particular part in the movie, and he screams, "Are we clear?" And I want to make sure that you know that answer. I don't know how many here do, Kevin, I'm sure you can't do a quick survey, but there's one answer, crystal clear. You better make sure that when you go to talk in the next economy where people are literally backed up against the wall financially, everybody's uncertain themselves, that whatever you're going to say better be within a few sentences of what you're trying to sell. In my case, it's very simple. For the My Online Toolbox, for what people don't know I do outside of my educational volunteering, I help contractors in the construction industry grow their business with more quality leads. There's 1,000 things I could talk about that topic, but I repeat over and over again, I just look for them to get more quality leads. 3 words are very powerful, and my entire business model lives and dies over those 3 words. You better make sure that your value proposition is extremely clear. What's the pain point? How could you help somebody out? Now, moving on to cash on hand and capital raising. I realize that there's 2 separate groups of people here, and I'm going to hit you both up really quick. First comes everyone realizing, especially existing businesses, everybody had a lot more money than time. They were buying services because no one had the time and everybody had more money. As of now, there's not a person who doesn't have more time than money. And even if you have the money, you're still being forced to utilize more time because other people who buy from you are stuck at home. They're thinking about how their credit cards are going to be paid or how their income is going to change and so forth. So for an existing business, you must, as an entrepreneur, not somebody who's successful sitting on a little bit of cash in the bank, pause and evaluate your cash flow versus your time. You're going to need to make a bunch of new decisions on saying, you know what, can I take this item and scratch it off and either forget about it altogether or even do it myself. But at the moment, I need to protect my cash flow because what's going to happen May, June, and July is a crapshoot. So if we know it's going to be a crapshoot and there are things that you could do, whatever that thing is that you may be able to do, maybe you can't do it great and maybe you're not even sure what to do. But as an entrepreneur, there's nothing you can't do. So figure out a way how to learn that topic to the best of your ability when you could utilize your time to protect money. Now, there's a bunch of people here that are either part of the boot camp for taking a business, graduating, possibly in June for that matter, or looking to win some money with me being one of the judges to be giving you that money. Well, if you're thinking about raising money, I just want you to think of this old movie and have this guy from The Sopranos going, forget about it. Because guess what? That is a thing of the past. You could still get it, but it's going to be so hard. I've written, if you look up on top, I've actually written numerous articles about raising money. I've raised money myself for more than 10 people. And in Fast Company, if you just put in fastcompany.com and my name, Brian Javelin, there's 3 separate stories. All of them are relevant going forward when you're trying to raise money. First, recognizing consultants who masquerade as investors. If you're looking for money now, you could bet there's going to be more people who are going to be an interim person, like an accountant, like a lawyer, and like anyone else who would say, hey, come to me, and I know a guy. Well, when they're talking to you, whatever they say, remember they want a fee or a percentage. Keep that in the back of your mind. Number 2, what traditionally will get the average investor excited is revenue. And if you're not producing revenue, you better have a real great value proposition of why somebody should consider investing in you when we know for a fact the revenue model will not be whatever it is that you wrote down in your little spreadsheet. So keep that in mind. If you happen to have the instantaneous in a pill solution for the current virus out there, you could bet you're going to be able to get some money. But barring that, the reality is it's going to be very hard. So keep in mind, you may bump into what's called venture capitalists. That's not going to happen in this economy, which I'm going to get to in a second. With angel investors, many of these people have a lot of money. The problem is that they're distracted waking up each morning, looking at their accounts and watching them going up and down like a bouncing ball. So because there's so much volatility in the market, your idea is not being listened to. the way it normally would, actually just 3 to 6 months ago, unfortunately. So realize that whatever it is, whoever you think you've contacted, whoever said he may do whatever one day, he or she, realize 30 days ago, everything changed. The sooner you embrace that, the better. And then I like to bring up these people. I'm sure everybody here has seen the Shark Tank and all the smiling little faces. Well, guess what? Those pretty women who have a lot of money and a lot of talent, trust me, they are frowning right now too. They have a ton of money that's being lost with their investments. We even have Mark and Damon. They're even probably frowning too. That would come off. And you probably know Mr. Wonderful, right? Well, guess what? If you find him as an angel investor, or you even think you know him and you didn't have something sealed, the deal was not solidified. The money did not hit the bank. Look at him, because this is what I see right now. And this is what he would be thinking. A lot of laughter. Why? Because as soon as he's done laughing and laughing that you still need his money and all of the laughter goes away, he's going to say, hey, you thinking about raising money? Well, we're going to go back to the Godfather days. I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. Whatever you think was on the table and whatever you've seen him do at the shows, it's going to even be worse right now because cash is king. So keep that in mind, that it's going to be very difficult. If any of you happen to be talking to a VC, and forgive me if there's any VCs here listening, I've been around the boat to know that when a venture capitalist calls, it always starts with, hey, we have an exciting opportunity. We would love to schedule a time to talk to you and hear about your idea. Just remember that when they say, let's keep that our little secret, shall we? The chance of a VC giving you a nickel in the next year or two is somewhere between slim and none. What will happen is many of the VCs are doing market analysis, and many times they're supporting their existing investments. And the best way to get a lot of intel is to talk to an entrepreneur. All of us, because of what we do to survive, we are in the mud, pounding away, learning a lot of details, and then you have somebody sitting in some office somewhere with a spreadsheet who says, yeah, if you just make a phone call to an entrepreneur and ask them 10 questions, I could save my research time by simply asking the people who are looking for money, because they tend to talk a lot in the hopes of getting the money. So when a VC calls you, have your guard up and keep it very limited if you're even willing to take the call, to know that you're not going to get money. You're just going to be providing a tremendous amount of firepower for the research that you've done, and you're just giving it away for free. So you're either going to be protecting every nickel you have or thinking about how to preserve whatever's already in the bank, and you may not be getting any outside capital other than possibly using your own money or even credit cards, which I prefer you don't do unless you clearly can make the payments. So let's make sure as an entrepreneur, we all know this word and it gets pounded into your head over and over again, and it's called bootstrapping. It's a phrase, and over the years, it's been used less and less because it was easier to build a business when the economy was doing well, and it was also easier to raise money when investors were looking to just throw money in the wind to see, like being in Vegas, if they may or may not hit it. So let's talk about that bootstrap. Remember again, bootstrap is nothing to do with money. It's to do with everything with time. I need to give you a little story, but make sure you realize, because I'm going to use this a direct comparison for myself, building my first company, but you better bootstrap like you've never done before. Let me give a great example. When I was starting my first company, getting it off the ground at 22 years old and entering a new industry, learning business for the first time, being told by everybody that you're going to fail, these are all the challenges, you don't have money, you don't have connections, you don't have, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, we still started to build a product. Now imagine that product started to have a little bit of solidification. It was pretty good. And we had some customers, we had some money, and we're going to our first trade show. We learned how much a trade show costs. Couldn't believe we had to buy land. Then we had to buy carpet. Then we had to get a booth. Then we had to pay for electricity. Then we had to worry about the airfare. Everything imaginable started to add up. After we thought we had our ducks in a row, we were wrong because we forgot to advertise to go to this particular event, and we were up against the wall. So here we are, we committed, we're all excited, we're going to take over the world, and we don't have a nickel to advertise. So what we did was come up with a stupid idea. And I'm going to bring up this idea. Some people may laugh, but just bear with me for a second. We paid somebody to draw a picture. And this picture was drawn because people kept on complaining that we always feel like you techies are choking us. We don't understand this. We don't understand that. And to this day, I still can't remember what exactly allowed us to be this stupid. But here we go. We created this stupid little image of a guy being choked, and we put the word apparel company. We put it in when you're caught with a squeeze, and you got a picture of being 23, 24, a little naive. And all of a sudden, we see this thing in a magazine. And if you would have seen the magazine, our ad was the absolute most ridiculous ad that was almost like a child, literally a kindergarten kid coming to your college at FAU and saying, I want to be in the same room. We were embarrassed. We let it go. We joked about it. We actually talked about it so much. We went to the show, and all of a sudden people started coming to us saying, you know, I saw your ad. That's the way I feel all the time. All of a sudden, we got a customer. All of a sudden, we got another customer. All of a sudden, we got another customer. Well, that little ad, which looks ridiculous, quite honestly, and funny, but if it was in a fashion magazine, you would not expect to see it there. We started changing simply the two words, sets of words on both arms, and simply kept changing it. And that little ad that was about $50 in the equivalents of today, give or take, became a multi-million-dollar marketing campaign. So maybe bootstrapping every once in a while will work. You will make mistakes, but you still have to do something. And this is an example of something we did that we never would have realized would have become part of our image for years. And more importantly, getting us new customers easily. So now, here's today, go fast forward 30 years. I'm in my fourth business right now, and I sell education to construction contractors who are notoriously behind in marketing. So we teach them websites, we teach them SEO, Google My Business, Facebook, Instagram, pay-per-click, and even email marketing. But here we are, faced with the same circumstance where I'm teaching them how to bootstrap. If you look quickly, you'll notice that I'm missing something. And just to jump to it make sure I'm doing okay with time, I am, with YouTube, that I always am guiding people on how to take videos, but now they can't go to their job sites. So what we did was teach them how to take images very similar to this presentation and how to bootstrap creating videos using still images. This one post has now gotten us to have a connection with our existing customers, and we now have hundreds of customers bootstrapping their marketing without going into the field with a camera. That's an example of this is real. It was actually just coincidentally posted about a week ago, but it's real. Adapting to the circumstance, making things happen when you don't have money, but you do have time. Next up is sales. I want to make sure you realize the vast majority of you do not know how to sell. In the 50s, when the vacuum cleaners came out, these guys happened to be the best salespeople on the planet because they were walking around door to door, literally show something and quickly close. Most of you people have gotten so used to being on the internet and seeing something and click. Introduce it to somebody, make sure that they're interested, and as soon as they are, quickly go through the process of sales. So I'm not going to, at the moment, get into what my favorite way is to sell, but make sure that if you're really not a salesperson, you better become one, and you better learn some of the basic tactics of sales, because once somebody says they're interested, too many people, kind of like going back to Shark Tank, talking, but they don't say yes. Let's close the deal. Time is against you. Treat sales. I don't care where you go to learn sales 101, but if you're going to be an entrepreneur, it better be part of your arsenal, because there's a phrase people like to say, if you build it, they will come. Well, not really, because if you build a Pilates studio in the middle of the desert, I don't care how good the studio is, no one's coming. And if you're going to convince people why to come that distance, you better be one heck of a salesperson to be able to make that deal. So now, after you learn about sales, remember, Traditionally, I would have been talking about your target market earlier in this presentation. But now I'm telling you at the end to review again whatever you think your target market is, review it again. Why? It's very important. 30 days ago, it began to change, and 1 hour ago, before I started this presentation, it changed even more. I have competitors that are making changes too fast right now, and I'm watching them because many of them are diving headfirst into quicksand. They just don't know it. But you have new competitors coming that whatever you think you know, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days ago, changed because the market's changing. So take a step back every once in a while, whatever that time frame is, and make sure you really know who your target is. And when you're talking about your target, be very sensitive to who your customer is. Really try to hone in on who that person is, who those people are, rather say. Do they really need you now? Or if they had any access to me or someone else, would they be convinced that maybe your value proposition isn't valuable enough and maybe you're just not worth it? Make sure you know, can you prove that somebody needs your product or your service? Make sure you know what your competitors are doing and watch them because they're probably going to be changing on a weekend by weekend basis. And after you think you know all, go look at your message, whether it's your voice message, whether it's your email, whether it's your website, and make sure people could quickly figure out what makes you different, because right now, way too much noise out there, and when someone says, it doesn't mean better, it doesn't mean faster, it doesn't mean cheaper or more expensive. Make sure you know what that differentiator is so you could stand out quickly. Here's some bonuses, everybody. First is this little device there, called a phone, by the way, and for the older people, they laugh. The younger sometimes look at it. That's a rotary phone, and it happens to be around for a long time. But many of the younger generation don't have the right verbal skills. You're so used to emailing and texting, and everybody's doing it so fast. In this economy, in this changing environment, pick up the phone and talk to your contacts, especially your future customers. We need to hear your voice. You need to hear their pain, because trust me, they'll be going through it. Whatever it may be, don't be allergic to this device and think that if I send you an email at 4 in the morning and you respond at 4:02 that you got a deal. It's better to respond at 4:02 saying, great idea, great whatever, I'll be getting back to you at 7:38, what's most convenient, or whatever it may be. But just remember, that little device and people hearing your voice is a critical topic in this current environment. Last but not least, there's some of you here that may want specifically ongoing marketing assistance. That's what I do. If you happen to like the My Online Toolbox Facebook page or our My Online Toolbox YouTube channel, we don't target entrepreneurialism on a daily basis, but we are targeting marketing on a daily basis, and you may pick up some at least tips that we provide on a weekly basis for our clients. And then last but not least, as an entrepreneur myself, if anybody here happens to know anyone in the construction, home building, or remodeling industries, of course, I would appreciate if you guide them to the My Online Toolbox website for my 15-second for the hours I did to put into this presentation to you. I hope I was able to cover as many things as humanly possible, and appreciate your time. And Kevin, taken away for any type of questions that might be ready to come my way.
Okay, thanks for that wonderful presentation, Brian. Really appreciate it. A lot of helpful insights in there, and very, very timely, given some of the circumstances. So it's really, really some important things to think about.